It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160. It's time for another installment of Martial Law. Radio program intended for informational purposes only. The information does not constitute legal advice. The law is constantly changing. The information may not be complete or correct depending on the date and your particular legal problem. Each legal problem depends on its individual facts, and different jurisdictions have different laws and regulations. Because of that, you should not act or rely on any information in this segment without seeking the advice of a competent attorney licensed to practice law in your jurisdiction for your particular problem. A guy like Marshall Chriswell, who's on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Todd.
Good to have you with us here today. Hey, I touched on this the last time we spoke, and maybe we should expand a little bit more on it. The idea of having an attorney with a knowledge of you, with who knows what you are and what you're all about, basically forming a relationship with attorney before you actually need legal services. Is that a good idea?
It is 100% a good idea to have an attorney that you can return to time and time again, because throughout all of our lives, there are going to be issues that come up, things, whether they're good things, getting married, buying a house, doing, the great things that happen in our lives, or the troubles that can come along. And there are, multiple times throughout your life that you're going to need legal advice. And having a relationship with an attorney is super important, to be able to go back to someone who knows your family situation, who is familiar with sort of the business part of your life, and that can give you good, sound advice time after time.
All right. So that being the case, what are some of the things we should be looking for when we're considering an attorney?
Well, Todd, I think one of the things, the really important things, is someone who is versed in multiple areas of the law. We live in a time of hyper-specialization, and the legal field has been impacted by this as much as any other industry. And there are times when it's important to have a lawyer who specializes in a particular area of law, particularly very complex areas of the law and things that maybe don't come up every day. You have attorneys that specialize in that, but I think as far as having an attorney, that family attorney that you want to have a consistent relationship with over the years, you want to have someone who is versed in multiple areas of the law, so that if you're talking to them about one issue, they're going to be able to spot issues that may need to be fleshed out, that may need to be addressed, that aren't necessarily directly on point with what you've come to see them about. And I think that's really critical, because they can raise things that maybe you hadn't thought about.
Well, that's a great way to start. Obviously, there are personalities and other things that must be considered as well, and the ability to reason and to converse is a big part of it, and I think it's a part that we might overlook. I think, we refer to those as soft skills these days, but they're skills that are necessary, aren't they?
You want to have an attorney that you're comfortable with, right? The free flow of information, the ability to communicate back and forth about sensitive topics sometimes, and things that you would not be comfortable discussing with someone, generally, or even friends or family members sometimes. So the attorney-client relationship is one of the utmost confidence, and so you need to have a lawyer that you are completely comfortable with, and sometimes that takes a little trial and error. I have clients that come and say, well, I had a lawyer, but we just didn't have great, we just didn't connect, and I didn't feel that comfortable with them. And maybe you have to talk to a few attorneys before you actually settle on someone that you're really comfortable with. But that's hugely important, because you need to be able to share with them and have the confidence that they're going to give you objective, good, objective legal advice, and people don't want to feel like obviously that they're being judged, and that they want to know that their problems are being taken seriously, and someone who's going to listen to you.
I'm sure there are things that we are very much unaware of in terms of an attorney-client relationship, and confidentiality is one of those things. There are just some things that we might not understand even what that phrase means. What is confidentiality in an attorney-client relationship?
Confidentiality has been described as the bedrock of the attorney-client relationship. And for any lawyer, we have many ethical responsibilities. There are hundreds of pages of ethical rules that we have to follow. Attorney-client confidentiality is right there at the top, and it's what the whole relationship is based on. And so that means that when you come into my office and we close that door, or that we're having a conversation on the phone, whatever it is, you call me up with a problem. This is not something that I can, without your permission, I can't tell a single other person about about this issue. I don't talk to other members of the bar about this. I don't go home and tell my wife about the things that my clients and I discuss, unless it's something that I know that I have the client's consent to share for some reason. So it is extremely important that the attorney that you work with values and that attorney-client confidentiality, and you want to have confidence that that they're going to respect that.
I'm sure as well that there are instances where it comes up where you as an attorney or somebody else as an attorney might say, it would be really wise if I could consult with this attorney or that, and then explain to the client, maybe I'm not as sure as this as I should be, and explain to the client that I'd like to bring this before another attorney just to get his opinion on a course of action to take. Does that ever happen?
That does happen. As I said, there are some areas of the law that I don't practice in, and maybe that are kind of specialty areas. And so, as a lawyer, you've got to be astute enough to know when those issues need to be addressed. Right? If someone's telling me about about maybe somebody comes in for a divorce consultation, and we're talking through their finances, and I start to get red flags like, you may need to talk to a bankruptcy attorney. I don't know anything about bankruptcy law, but I know several really good attorneys who do. And maybe it's something that you need to have a conversation about. So then I get permission from the client, usually written permission, to share the facts of their case with someone who specializes in this case bankruptcy law, and get that attorney's feel for it, and maybe connect those two, the client with the other attorney, to get some further advice or take some action.
Attorney Marshall Chriswell is with us this morning. We're talking about having a family attorney, if you will, and developing that relationship long term, so that when legal issues do come up in every life, as they do, you'll have somebody with whom you have a relationship and who knows your legal ins and outs. What are some of the other considerations we should take into account when we're considering an attorney?
Well, I think we've hit on some big ones. I think just returning to the thought of having someone who's multidisciplinary, who practices in a wide range of areas of the law is super important, because you can go in and talk to your lawyer with one issue, and it can completely it can raise the antennas. It can go in a different direction, and you need someone who can see the big picture, right? If I'm purchasing real estate, and I start to think about, well, I'm not going to be around forever, and how am I going to what's going to happen with this property if something happens to me? Well, we can sit and have that whole conversation, because not only do I specialize in real estate transactions, but I'm also an wills and estates attorney. So we can have that whole conversation, and maybe it impacts the way we decide, okay, how are we going to title this property? You came in here talking about, buying real estate that we were going to, you were going to own solely. Well, maybe we need to put that in joint names with one of your kids, or maybe we need to set up a trust, or maybe we need to create an estate plan to deal with that. So the idea that you can have conversations about multiple areas of the law. You're just going to get better service, more efficient service, and you're going to have that person that is more aware of your situation.
Well, all of that being the case, if someone wants to form that relationship with you, what should they do?
You can give me a call. It's at 724-465-5826. My office is in the R&P building, the old R&P coal headquarters behind the post office at 655 Church Street in Indiana, or go online to the website at www.westernpalawyer.com.
No, and don't put it off. I think that's one of the things that we do is we put off that making that sort of a call. Marshall, thank you so much for visiting with us this morning.
Thanks, Todd. Take care.
You too.